Hello and welcome to yet another webinar by Sunstone University. We are here again on Friday at 6 p.m. with yet another industry expert today with us. And today's topic is Industry Insights for Operations Management. This is Sunstone's sixth episode for the Industry Expert Talk series. Yes, we have successfully completed 5 Industry Expert Talk series, and this is the sixth one. Talking about Sunstone, Sunstone University is India's only pay after placement MBA Pgdm program. We partner with 9 leading campuses of the country at different locations. Sunstone University takes full accountability of students' careers and reduces the financial burden of paying such a high fees for a management program. The topic, as I said, for today's webinar is Industry Insights for Operations Management. Today, we will learn what operations management is, what industry expects out of the job aspirants planning to make their career in operations management, forming a holistic and practical approach to operations management, and how to get a competitive advantage. Also, we will learn current trends in the operation management domain. Today, we have with us Abhijit Pushkarna. He has worked with Zomato in the past and has headed the central operations there. Hi, Abhijit.
Hi, Harmeet, how are you?
I am good. How are you? I'll quickly give my viewers a brief introduction about you. Ayujit is an alumna of Symbiosis International University. He has worked with brands like Zomato, Domino's, McDonald's, KFC, to name a few. Ayujit has a rich experience in marketing, sales, finance, logistics, and supply chain management domain. Also, he aspires to pursue masters in business and consultancy in future. But having said that, at such a young age, you have achieved so much, Ayujit.
Yeah, I feel this is all God's blessings and my parents' support and blessings that wherever I am today.
Absolutely. I think we should definitely start with our session without doing any further ado.
For sure.
Hi Abhijit, we're facing some technical difficulties on Harmeet's end. I think it's network problem. It will just take us about 2 minutes to get this rolling again.
Take your time, ma'am. That's not a
Hello.
hello.
I'm so sorry. There has been a technical glitch
No
from
problem.
my end. I'm so sorry. There was an internet connection instability. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. So we'll resume our session. And my first question to you, Ayujit, is how are you feeling today interacting with the students and the audience?
I am so honored to be a part of this webinar and this show. And I really thank you and Arnav for having given me this opportunity to interact with you and share my opinion. Really grateful to you.
Thank you so much. So talking about operations management, this absolutely is something very new for somebody who wants to start a career in operations management.
Right.
All I wanted to understand is how is your day-to-day activity like? How is your day-to-day activity in an operations manager or operations person's life?
So the time I was working in Zomato in the central operations team, So my day-to-day life was responding to emails, surfing on Excel sheets, parallelly working on 6, 7 Excel sheets, attending present PowerPoint presentations, giving presentations, being on calls 24/7. Because as an operations manager or a team member in the operations department, you have to be on your toes the entire time. Anybody from the sales department or from the finance department or logistics department can come up to you, give a call. We have a problem, boss. Please solve this, or please escalate this, or please do X, Y, Z. So when I was working, my day-to-day work was I was in front of the screen for about 10 to 11 hours a day.
My goodness. So 10 to 11 hours per day as a fresher you're talking about.
Yeah, because I had joined Zomato immediately after I completed my graduation.
Okay. So that is how a typical day looks like. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what about if somebody wants to start a career absolutely from the scratch?
Right.
How to go about things? Because you have started, I think you did your internship in Zomato, if I'm not wrong, and then you ended up getting your first job in Zomato. So how to go about? I mean, for all those students who who think कि internship alag hai or ye alag hai, how do you want to portray that?
So the harsh reality is, first of all, you have to keep your basics upright. You have to clear certain concepts in your mind itself. Once you graduate from your university, once you step out of your college, you are in a completely different zone, a completely different environment. Nobody is your friend, nobody is your support. You have to stand upon your own feet.
Right.
As an intern, when I was working in Zomato, I was really blessed to have achieved, or I was given a PPO from the company, pre-placement offer, to work as a full-time employee after I complete my studies. So I accepted it, and after completing my graduation, I went back to the company and I worked there for a year and a half, and then slowly and gradually I kept on learning, growing, and then things are taking turn according to the way I want right
Lovely. And since I had an interaction with you,
now.
you
Right.
are from the marketing domain. You
Yeah.
studied marketing
Yeah.
and then you switched to operations. For all those students जो अपना करियर बनाना चाहते हैं किसी भी डोमेन में लेकिन उनको बाद में realize होता है what they want to do, what is that one message you want to give them? कि nothing is consolidated, right? You can actually switch anytime you want to.
So my one word message is, rather I would say my one sentence message to those students or candidate is, if you have a hunger for a particular thing, you should just strive hard to get onto the goal. You should not worry about what you studied or what you want to do in your life. I mean, I'm not saying this if you are from a non-technical background, and then after completing your studies, you feel like you should go into a technical background. Nobody will, give you a second chance, or nobody will even give you an opportunity if you are from a completely different field. But talking about, if somebody is a graduate from a general business management and he or she tries to get into a job which is in marketing or finance or revenue for that matter, or logistics or supply chain, you should know your strengths. You should have an idea about the subject. You should have a very clear vision about the job that you are applying and how that job will benefit you and the organization at the same point.
Right. So, having talking about this switching thing, right, Ajit, you were somebody who studied marketing in terms of theory, and then in terms of practical knowledge and practical approach, it was operations. How difficult were both?
It was not at all difficult, because I feel operations is something which can fit into anything. And I was from a school of thought that if I have studied marketing, I have an idea about certain things, A, B, C, D, E. I have to apply the same set of theories that I have learned to the practical knowledge, which for me this depends from a person to person. For me, it was not that difficult, but if you talk about somebody else, that might be difficult. But if you personally ask me, it was not at all difficult. It's
So,
just that you know that how to play your cards well at the right time.
so is it more about on the go experiencing certain things? But before I move on to the on the go experiencing certain things, if I would like to, understand, अगर हम हिंदी में बात करें और आपको मुझे बताना हो कि operations management है क्या? For a mass com masters like me, if I'm completely blank, or for an MBA aspirant, or for that matter, anybody who wants to have a career in operations in future, अगर मुझे simple भाषा में बताना पड़े तो किस तरह से you will explain?
In the layman's language, operations is nothing but simplifying a certain process for the development of the organization to ease out the process with optimum level of efficiency and effectively working up for the long-term organizational goal. That's it. That is what operations is. Be it marketing operations, be it financial operations, be it logistic operations, anything. The main idea or the main job of an operations manager is to simplify things, simplify processes, and make the work smooth and swift.
So every department has an operations unit, or there is a central operations. So when I say you were heading the central operations for Zomato.
I was not heading the central operations. I was
Okay.
part of the central operations team.
Okay. So in a organization, there is an operations team in every unit, or there is an operations team which looks for it overheads it. How does it work?
It depends from the organization to organization.
Let's take the case
If
study
I
for
talk about
Zomato. Yeah.
So we had one single central operations team, and the team used to work parallelly with all the departments, and we used to work on the daily, what do you call it, day-to-day operations of the restaurant. I was working in the online ordering process. So the online ordering process basically revolved around onboarding new restaurants on the online ordering process for the company and maintaining some rate cards for the commissions of the restaurants on the sales that the restaurants had, and providing the logistics to the restaurant for picking up the orders and getting it delivered to the customer. So this is what the major function of the central operations team at Zomato is.
Right. So this is all I've understood about operations management, how, the operation system, at such a young age, you had a opportunity to work in a company like Zomato. Having said that, all I want to understand is, I'm sure my students will be very excited to know this, how did you start your internship journey? क्योंकि मुझे इस चीज को बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है जानना कि बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि students don't take their internships very seriously. To be very honest, 50% of them take it seriously, 50% of them don't take it seriously. But you had an opportunity of doing your first job and your first internship in a organization like Zomato. So how was that?
So when I got admitted to Symbiosis, the first thing that was in my mind was to get into the corporate world. I was
Right.
very clear about what I want in my future and in my life ahead. I was actively looking out for internships in some reputed organizations. I had applied to a couple of companies, but I got an offer from Zomato at that point of time. This was way back in 2017, 2016, or
Okay.
if I'm not wrong.
Right.
So at that point, I applied in for this internship through the careers page of Zomato at their website, and I got a reply from their side after 3-4 weeks that you've been shortlisted. You may please come for an interview. They took my interview for the internship, and I was very encouraging. Encouraging is not the right word. I was very curious to work and for the company. So, having said that, I always wanted to work for a reputed organization, and I had the opportunity of an internship, and I never wanted to, let go that opportunity. So I
Right.
I pushed myself. I pushed all my limits and I put in the best of my efforts to convert each and every opportunity or every assignment or task which was allotted to me. And yes, then I got a PPO and a job as well.
So, as an intern, I'm sure you must have learned a lot that, you got an opportunity to work in the same organization,
Right.
a few months later. But having said that, how important for you is, is working for a brand more important, or the JD is more important, job description?
I feel JD and brand, they go hand in hand. They're complementary.
Right,
If you have a good brand on your CV or in your hand, you automatically get motivated to work for that particular JD. Nobody would apply for a job which doesn't interest or which doesn't suit the personality. So
right.
I applied in for an internship which interested me a lot. I had a keen interest in operations and in content writing and marketing. So that's how it worked.
Right. And has pandemic affected this entire operation zone? Because pandemic is somewhere down the line affected almost every industry, I feel, right? But how much of it has affected the operations unit?
I feel this COVID pandemic has largely affected the operation industry because there were certain things which were not digitized prior to COVID.
Right.
Once the COVID happened, all the major economies in the world, they enforced a complete nationwide lockdown, and things had to take the digital way out to
Right.
run the process or to run their businesses to go forward in life, because we couldn't have just stopped at that point of time. So artificial intelligence came into light, digitization came into light, and there are other things as well that are coming into the world. And I am pretty sure about it that things will take turn swiftly. But I mean, I myself or the fellow operation managers or the budding operation managers, they just have to take note of one thing, that you have to be dynamic and you have to be adaptive to the changes that are happening.
Absolutely. I think adaptability is the key here. The more adaptive you are, the better you can cope up with the changes.
Yes, absolutely. Nobody knew 2 years back the lane or 5 years back the lane that COVID would happen and would keep the entire world paused for a moment. So if
Absolutely.
you're adaptable, you can make your way ahead.
Absolutely. Having said that, what advice or what are the couple of things, a student, an MBA aspirant, or any student who wants to make a career in operations from the scratch, how he or she should go about it? Like, for example, when we were studying, mass communication and everything, our teachers would be like, you practice mirror practice, or you look into the
Right.
mirror and start practicing, look at yourself, how you speak, how your voice is being heard. So what are those things? What are those key areas one should, keep in mind? Key, if I want to establish my career in operations, these are the things I should be doing.
So like you said, communication skills play a pivotal role in getting a job or shaping your career for that matter.
Right.
You should be consistent in whatever you do. You should be hardworking. The second key point, hard work pays a lot. If not in the short term, it will definitely pay you in the long term.
Right.
You should be aware of what's happening around the world or what's happening in your industry or around your particular domain or in your company, around your departments. So these are certain few factors that should be kept in mind for each and everybody to excel.
Not just for operations unit. I think this is for anything you want to build your career in.
And
You have to be
talking about,
hardworking,
you
consistent.
have to get into some technical softwares, like we have RV or some
Okay.
analysis software, or
Mm-hmm.
you should have a very strong grip over MS Excel, because if you are not sound in Excel, there will be a lot of problem going forward to analyze certain things or to analyze your reports or something. So you should be technically sound. You should know where you are working, and you should be hardworking in whatever you do.
Right, right. So I think if from this webinar, if the students have to take two to three softwares, it will be MS Excel and it will be RV. These are the two softwares you need to know if you want to establish a career in operations successfully in future. Absolutely. This is something even I learned. Having said that, today when you take interview of young aspirants, young students, as you know, what are the things you look for in a fresher? Ki, yaar, this person is an operations material, or this person is bound to have a good career in operations. What are the things as a recruiter you see today?
One of the best things I look out is the person should have progressive thinking and should be dynamic for sure, should be adaptive. You After COVID, every company, every recruiter would want his or her candidate to be very adaptive. Going forward, if I'm hiring for a managerial role or a senior management role, I would look out for a skill which equally or which has the ability, the person has the ability to delegate his task or the powers. Because if this ability to delegate the work or powers is not there, I mean, there is no point of hiring such a candidate.
Right.
Last thing, the person should be a team player, because in today's
Absolutely.
environment, there is no organization or no business which cannot work without a team player. You have different teams parallelly running. A team player is something.
Right. So, having you just spoke about teams, right? So, what role does operations, the operations unit or the operations management? What role does operations play in coordination, and how important is right coordination between teams?
Okay, so operations majorly deals with coordinating with different teams to work out on a single path. If I talk about Zomato's operations, we were directly working with the marketing team, the sales team. The sales
Right.
team used to bring the new restaurants on board the online ordering process. We used to verify the documents for the restaurant, and we used to do our work on at the back end and forward the entire set of documents to the revenue and to the finance teams. And after the finance and the revenue teams used to do their bit, that thing was automatically directed to the logistics team, so that they have an idea about where the restaurant is, what are the coordinates, what is the latitude or the longitude of that restaurant, so that
Right.
picking up the delivery fleet is easier and tracking the delivery fleet is easier for the company. So all this had to be managed, and at the end of the day, we were the people who were responsible for taking the restaurant live. So
Right.
from starting of onboarding the restaurant to making sure that the TAT is in control, the turnaround time, making all the teams work on that particular thing in the right time, and then getting back that restaurant and making it live within the stipulated time that the salesperson had promised to the restaurant owner is something that operation managers do.
So even if a salesperson is representing a particular organization, there is
Yes,
a lot of work which the operations has to go to and fro between the teams, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So that is a process. It's a tedious process, but everything has to be right. So how important is process in terms of operations?
So, if I talk about the process, there are different processes parallelly running out. Everybody is working at their own pace, and each process has its own TAT. TAT is a turnaround time. So, for my department of onboarding a restaurant and scanning and cross verifying the documents, the TAT was 2 hours. So,
Right.
get a restaurant at 12 noon, I have to make sure that I am verifying the documents and correcting the documents in 120 minutes. If I do not do that in 120 minutes, my target is not achieved. So
Okay.
target should be met, your work should be done within the stipulated time, and
Right.
whatever this delivery, whatever the sales representative has promised to the owner, that should be done.
So it's more about execution, and not just execution, executing in the stimulated amount of time, as you mentioned.
Executing.
Absolutely. So, doing an MBA in operations, does it help in setting the process right?
So if you ask about me, I never thought of doing an MBA in operations because
Right.
I wanted to.
You had a specialization in marketing, right?
I have a specialization in bachelor's, and I
Right.
wanted to study business management as a whole. So I
Right.
would rather love to do an MBA in general management
Mm-hmm.
than in a particular niche segment.
Right, right. So, having said that, operations, right? In your opinion, are soft skills more important for an operations manager or technical skills? टेक्निकल स्किल्स में हमें ऑलरेडी आपने बता दिया है कि एमएस एक्सेल और आरवी करके रखना चाहिए बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस इज टेक्निकल skills more important in operations or soft
I
skills?
would say a perfect blend of both the skills are required. If your soft skills are missing, you cannot work out upon your technical skills or hard skills. So you
Right.
should complement both of them and perfectly blend it in a right way.
Correct. What is Acha, one more question I had in my mind is,
Yes.
are there any prerequisite skills required to pursue an MBA PGDM in operations? I mean, do you need to know that this is my subject or this is my area? Or is it okay to switch later on? I mean, how does it work?
Well, it depends from person to person. If you ask me, I have a particular thing in my mind. If you ask somebody who has to do an MBA in marketing, so he would definitely go in for a specialized master's in marketing and would not do the general MBA.
Right.
It all depends upon what your interest is and where do you want to study and how would you justify your study with your career goal.
I think more importantly, I think as we say this in almost every webinar of ours, that it is very important for the person or the student to actually go there in the field,
Mhm.
do the job,
Mhm.
understand where he or she, the interest lies.
Our homework is the key. You should.
Absolutely, absolutely. Moving on, how much does work experience matter in this industry?
Work experience matters a lot, not just in the industry, it even matters for an admission in MBA. So if you and not only a normal work experience, they ask for a specific work experience. If you are applying in for a job in the operations segment, you should have a work experience of about 2 to 4 years in the same
Right,
field. You can
right,
go for an operations job after having worked for a company in the marketing segment. So you
right,
have that similar work experience. So yes,
right.
experience is really important.
So, having said that, when you were working in Zomato,
Right.
when you were working in Zomato, what were the 2 to 3 things, if you want to highlight, which made you learn a lot about operations? What were the 2 to 3 things you learned?
2 to 3 trainings that I learned from the companies, right?
Right,
So I learned the organizational ethics and the organizational commitment from Zomato. And
right,
I have imbibed them deeply inside me, and I really thank them for inculcating this value in me. Talking about values on the professional forefront, I have learned a lot about MS Excel, RV, and MS Word or PowerPoint presentations, how to present your particular presentation in different ways, how to communicate effectively, how to communicate efficiently, how to write an email professionally. So things you learn certain things in life when you actually get into a particular position.
right, right, right. Having said that, how different is practical world and theoretical world? Since you said you've done a bachelor's in business management, I'm sure you must have read operations, marketing, sales, finance, almost everything in a niche, little karke. But how much of it has been different from the practical world so far?
Theoretical world and practical world, they are definitely two poles apart things.
Right,
In the theoretical world, you read a particular concept, you read a particular definition, you understand it, you write it, and you're done. But when you get into the practical work environment, you have to apply that particular concept or that particular definition into your work. For
Correct.
example, yeah, for example, if you've learned a particular sum in the Microsoft Excel, you, when you're theoretically reading it, you will have a very small data set. But when it comes to working in the operations field, or not in only the operations field, for example, in the analytics field, or wherever you're working, you
Right.
get a big chunk of data which you have to simplify, analyze, and then apply the same formula there or the same
Correct.
sum there. So you should clear your theoretical knowledge first. This is for the students who are watching this. Clear your knowledge first, have a very clear idea about your basic concept, and then delve into the practical way. You
But
can
a
get it.
lot of times, I think
Yeah.
theory is not followed as it is, if I'm not wrong.
It depends from the field to field. If you
Right.
ask me about my field of marketing or of operations, I
Hmm.
feel that the concepts that I learned or the Fayol's principles that I had learned in marketing, they are being applied in the practical field. One of the principle was authority and responsibility complement each other. They go hand in hand. So that's exactly how it goes. If you are giving a responsibility to a particular manager or somebody,
Correct.
you have to give him certain level of authority,
Correct. Ownership. This is where ownership plays.
ownership,
Right.
actual concept of ownership, like that. So
Correct.
I feel, I mean, this is really very personal. It may differ from person to person, but in my opinion, I feel practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge, they complement each other and they go hand in hand.
Absolutely. It's just that when you have a basis for something, that is only when you learn more about it. You know something, and then only you can know कि कितना वो theory और practical कितना similar है या कितना different है.
Absolutely.
Talking about again theory and practical, looking at your data and your profile so far, you had a specialization in marketing and then you shifted to operations. So if I have to say what how is operations related to marketing? Is it related at all?
Yes, operations is related to marketing because I believe no marketing professional can get into the real-time market without a quality product.
Correct.
Can deliver, you can manufacture a quality product or a quality service by consulting a operations manager. And if you have a product or a service in hand, and if you don't have a marketing professional, you cannot run your business. So marketing and operations, again, they complement each other and they go hand in hand. The marketing personnel will convince the consumer or the customer to buy that quality product,
Right.
and the operation manager will make sure that the quality product is manufactured at the lowest and the at the optimum cost.
राइट अगर मैं जोमेटो का ही एक्सपीरियंस या केस स्टडी बोलूं और आपको बोलूं जोमेटो के एक्सपीरियंस के साथ अगर आपको ऑपरेशंस और मार्केटिंग दोनों की प्रोफाइल अलग करके समझानी हो तो हाउ वुड यू गो अबाउट इट
If I have to if I have to explain this operations and marketing, how they go hand to hand in the Zomato's scenario. So Zomato is giving a big client base to the restaurant and a restaurant directory to the customer.
राइट
Marketing goes hand in hand. The marketing professional will talk to the customer by saying you have 50 odd restaurants, 60 dark kitchens. You can choose any of them according to whatever food you like, whichever cuisine you want to have at that point of time. And at the restaurant end, at the business end, the restaurant will be promised for a bigger order base
राइट
at the same point of time. So this is how marketing and operations are working hand to hand in Zomato's scenario.
right so they complement each other but then yet they are very different from each other as well right my next question is what is the latest latest industry trend in operations management? If I have to tell you that in the last 1 year or 2 years, especially considering, pandemic in the scenario, what is the latest trend that has come up in operations?
There has been a very heavy shift of the processes to AI, to artificial intelligence. All the
Okay.
processes now majorly are automatic. We have turned out to be more digitized than we were 5 years back, or if we take into consideration in the pre-COVID times. And since this AI has come into light, this saves a lot of effort, a lot of time at both the ends.
Correct.
And strategic operations have taken a big seat going ahead. We have strategic operation decisions at all the departments. If I take Zomato's example again, so these operation manager, the strategic operation manager can take any decision related to sales, revenue, marketing, finance, logistics after analyzing and forecasting certain trends which are based upon artificial intelligence. Earlier, you had to run big algorithms, you had to dive into the Excel sheets, into data, and then
Right.
you have come up to this conclusion. But now, today, it's all simplified. Everything is just a click away.
Just a click away. Absolutely. Well said there. Having said that, again, looking at your profile, if a student is doing general business management
Right.
and if he later develops a particular interest in operations or HR or marketing,
Right.
can he switch? And if he even, of course, he can switch looking at your example. But my question is, does it affect the career graph at all, or it doesn't affect? Because for example, if I have 4 years of experience in marketing, for example, then on the fifth year, I want to change my career in operations.
Mhm.
Does that 4 years of marketing experience count, or I have to start absolutely from the scratch?
Till the time you can justify your shift and the gap, there is
Hmm.
nothing in the world that can harm you or portray a blot on your career or your CV for that matter. If
Right.
you have decided to take a shift, you have to justify why you have taken a shift from marketing to general management or from general management to marketing or finance or whatever. You have to justify, and if your justification is in the right direction, you can, I mean, you can achieve anything that you feel like.
Absolutely. It's all about the interest. The student or the person who is pursuing that career should be absolutely happy with what he or she is doing. Then only that person will be productive. Right?
Justification is the key here.
Absolutely. And moving on, my next question to you, Ahijit, is why should students opt for operations? Because operations, I think, is not as popular. For example, even if you Google today operations management, you do not get a clear definition. You get a clear definition about finance, you get a clear definition about marketing, sales, but you do not get a clear definition about operations.
Hmm.
Why should students opt for operations?
Operations can fit into any industry, in any field, and in any department.
Right,
I think this answers your question in a
right.
this manner.
In a very just manner, right? But having said that, my next question is, as a fresher, where can somebody see himself or herself in the next 5 years? Why I ask you this is because students do not understand that, operations as a word is very heavy, to be very honest,
Right.
right? Operations and supply chain, it's a very heavy word. So students get scared. Marketing is a very friendly work, even though the job profile is just, complementing each other. But having said that, is if a student starts his or her career in operations, where can he or she see himself in the next 5 years? How is the career growth graph like?
So it depends whether the student is a graduate or is starting his graduation. If he's presently pursuing or has plans to pursue his bachelor's, so first 3 years he'll be studying, and if he has
Right.
plans to pursue his master's, then next 2 years, 5 years down the lane, he'll just be theoretically qualified. And post that, you can climb up the ladder from being an operations executive or a business development operations executive. then an associate, a senior associate, and then you can climb up the ladder depending upon which organization do you work in.
Right. Having said that, ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा popular question है बच्चों का कि whenever they want to choose a career, whenever whichever field it is, whether it be sales, finance, marketing, operations, is this risky? I also don't understand by what is risky, because if you really want something, if you really are passionate about something, this question should not come in the first place. But students have this popular question: is the operations sector risky? What
Every,
would you?
whatever decision you take is risky. There's
Correct.
nothing in this world which is not risky. You just have to take the best shot that you can.
Absolutely. Is there any incident you would like to share from Zomato days when you were working there, where something you learned on the way, and then you thought maybe this is not my cup of tea, but then later on you realized no, it's a part of the process, and you were like, okay, fine,
I'll
this is
share a
how.
very small episode here. I was
Yes.
actively involved in the city launches. I don't know,
Right.
2 years back, the time, if you heard about, there were C100, C200, C300 launches happening on Zomato. So I was taking care of Amritsar as a city. I was
Okay.
launching the city on the online ordering process from the operations side.
Correct.
So there was some glitch, there was some error at the back end, and the entire data had crashed. There was
Okay.
nothing that could have been done overnight.
Hmm.
There was just one solution to get out of the problem, which was to align all teams working. They have to again work parallelly in coordination and in sync with the operations team, set up the entire set of documents for each restaurant again. So this took about 3 days at that point of time. We were working in two shifts. The operations team was working on a 24-hour shift.
To get that entire thing, sorted.
In the entire phase for 3 days. 24 hours we were working, and after those 3 days, we had a lot of theories in the office that this is something which is impossible to achieve. I don't know why has Ahijit got into this position, or why is he handling, or why is he taking the charge, or has taken this decision of getting things back on track. But
Right.
those 3 days were the most crucial days for me, my team, my managers, my bosses, and everybody. But at the end, hard work paid off. So things are risky, certain point. But if you have thought of sticking on to your ground with the best of your abilities and energies,
Right.
you will definitely carve your way out in success.
Right. Um, that's a very interesting thing to understand, not just for operations. I think this is for any sector students want to establish their career in, that
Right.
it's very important for one to not give up, be working, and be consistent. And that's a lovely story there, that even though in operations everything relies on operations, and it's a responsible, there is the incident which you're sharing shows the ownership qualities actually.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Really honored
Having
to have this compliment from you.
Thank you. Having said that, apart from operations manager, what are other job roles available to freshers in the operations sector? Not operations manager, but operations में अगर 2 से 3 या 4 profiles अगर आपको mention करनी हो,
Hmm.
as a beginner, as a starter, what are the options students should look for?
So if you're targeting the operations segment, the operations industry specifically, you can have a business operations executive as the job title, or you can have the financial operations executive associate manager as a job title. But if you're talking about the general job opportunities that are available, you can go out for consultancy, you can go out for the jobs of analyst. CFA is in trend today, chartered financial analyst. They're in huge demand. So I would genuinely advise the MBA finance students to pursue a course in CFA and become chartered financial accountants in future, so that the nation
Right.
we benefit out of this. These are some titles that
Absolutely. I think this is the second advice after the MS Excel and RV we are getting from you today. Yes. So all the students who want to establish their career in finance should have a course in CFA according to you.
yeah, for the financial student, for the not only for the financial students, for anybody who has an inclination towards revenue and finance. This is just one option. There are
Right.
people, the students today, I mean the students who are pursuing masters or their graduation, I am pretty sure that they have done a better research than what research I am doing right now. So everybody has their own, is running on their own pace, and everybody has a career goal. You just cannot,
Right.
you can just advise, but you just cannot tell somebody to do this or that. It's upon the individual
Absolutely.
which path he takes.
Absolutely. It's absolutely an individual part leads. And having said that, how to prepare for operations interviews? Like somebody who's applying for operations, what are the, if I have to say, what are the top 5 things you have to tell them that you have to make sure that you study these 5 things before sitting for an interview? What will be those top 5 things?
So you should have a very clear picture about the company that you are applying to, a thorough analysis of the
Right.
company, a thorough analysis of the job description, thorough analysis of the job responsibilities, the eligibility criteria, which candidates today miss a lot.
Right.
They do not pay a heed to
Yes.
the eligibility criteria. So the eligibility criteria should be the first point here. You should read what the eligibility criteria is, and if you are not eligible for a certain position, you should not apply to that. So these are the few factors that
Right.
kept in mind while applying for, not only for a job interview but for internships as well.
Right. I think eligibility criteria, as you said,
Hmm.
once there is a wrong, if you're not fit for a certain profile and you apply for it, I think that wastes a lot of recruiters' time as well as the students' time.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think that is very important.
Each time it demotivates the candidate also, because if a candidate is appearing
Correct.
for an interview, so he has a set of preconceived notions or factors in his mind. So breaking down those factors is really disheartening for the candidate. So the candidate should
Correct.
uh, have a clear idea about these factors. And eligibility criteria doesn't mean that you just take into account that if you are a marketing student, you can apply for a marketing job. There are set of eligibility criteria. There are technical skills, there are soft skills, there are some other hard skills which are required. There are multiple factors related to your relocation or working in a particular office or work from home thing. So everything should be read well in advance, should be adhered, and then you should go forward in whatever path you decide.
Right. And having said that, what are the key tips for getting a good placement?
Good placement. Your marks should be consistent. You should have
Yes.
least number of backlogs.
Right.
Yes. Your study should be in the same direction of the job that you are applying or the company that you are applying. You should have the industry knowledge, or you should have the idea about where you are applying and the trends that are going around in the particular industry at that point of time when you're studying for the interview.
Right. Right. And what are your thoughts on Sunstone University?
And this is something really
Sorry.
general.
Yes.
I'm saying this is something really very general and generic that everybody must be aware of this.
Absolutely. But some of the students, absolutely fresh, students who are freshers who want to establish their career in a lot of domains. I think this is going to be a piece of advice for them because not everybody knows. Because you are sitting in a position with an experience of working with big brands. Now you are saying this, but I'm sure students will be able to take a lot from your advice. Having said that, what are your thoughts on Sunstone University?
Okay, so my thoughts on Sunstone University is the people at this organization, they are doing a very fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
Having an accountable education to providing a 9-month paid internship in a company and teaching students in the industry inclined curriculum or the subjects that you people are offering. I mean, hats off and kudos and more power to you.
Thank you so much.
It's a very interesting and very apt venture that India needs at this point of time.
Absolutely. It's all about being accountable for students' career. Having said that, my last question before I pick up some questions from the audience,
Yeah.
my last question is Sunstone's industry aligned curriculum focused on developing freshers with experience. Why
Right.
do you think most freshers struggle at the start of their career?
Most freshers struggle, and
At the beginning of their career? Why do you think that happens?
because I feel they just get swayed away with their emotions and they do not get the right thing in the right place at the right time. They have to do their homework well in advance. They should know what and when to do. And if you can get hold of this particular thing, that what you should do when you are going out for a job or when you're going out for an MBA interview, if you know how to play your cards well, that's something which can carve your way out to the success. That's it.
Right. We have some questions from the audience we will take before.
Of course.
Yes. We have a question from Cool Dude. Hi, Cool Dude. Cool Dude says, hello, I have a question. As operations is generally considered as a job for people from engineering background, how
Mhm.
can a commerce or business administration cope up dominated by engineering people?
I am from a commerce background. I am from a commerce plus marketing background, and I am not studied these technical things ever. So I would just advise Cool Dude to make his career decision wise, and
And continue being cool.
he should efficiently learn whatever you are studying. You should
Correct.
justify whatever you are studying in your career path.
Right. Having said that, we have a next question from Arpit Sharma. Arpit says, hi, sir. Do you think studying abroad, especially in a country like France, will help me in boosting my profile if I come back and work here in India? I think this is a question I think Rahijit, a lot of students have कि क्या abroad जाने से और वापस आने से हमारे career में boost होगी, salary में boost होगी? What do you have to say about that?
Well, I would like to answer to Mr. Arpit Sharma that if
Yes.
you're going to France for your further studies, first of all, you should study there. You should work there for your stay back period, gain as much global exposure as you can. And if you still feel after that particular time period that you have to come back, you will have plethora of options in India, and you will have the best of the companies who will be ready to work with you at that point of time.
So I think going abroad or not going abroad does not matter. All matters is what stream are you in and how much are you willing to put
And,
in.
no, I would like to differ here. If you're going
Sure.
abroad, the reputation of your university matters a lot.
Okay. Right.
You are a graduate from Yale, or if you are a graduate from Oxford, and if you are
Hmm.
going back to India, who would not like to work with?
Correct. Correct. But
But
one needs to be
like,
very sure about the specializations he or she chooses, what he or she wants to do in future.
yes,
Right.
right, absolutely right.
Okay. Deep Prakash says, sir, please tell me, does previous academics matters? Like if somebody wants to pursue something and उसके पहले वाले marks जो है वो matter करते हैं कि नहीं? Deep Prakash.
If you are going out for a job, your marks will not matter. But if you are going for your further studies, your marks will matter up to a certain level. But make sure you get some skills to compensate your lower CATs or low marks.
Right. I think Anjali Sharma is asking a question for a long time. Tell me, please, how Sunstone will help me shape my career and how it is safe for my future. Well, Anjali, I'll take this up myself. You will have faculties who will be guiding you throughout 2 years. I think you will have to pay a token registration fees, and post that you will have a faculty who will be guiding you throughout the 2 years, and then we will get you placed. And once your placement is done, post that you can pay us the fees back in installments, the details of which you can check on our website, which is sunstone.edu.in. And yes, we are popular in taking accountability for students' careers, so you rest assured we will be taking care of your future. So that is how we will help you. Having said that, we will take one last question, which is from Ashish Bhatt. Ashish says, during MBA, which specialization can be an add-on with operations for career growth? If you can, if
you
somebody
ask
has
me,
to.
marketing.
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 Why?
Because if you study marketing, you can get into any field.
Correct.
You need no technical knowledge. You need some technical knowledge.
What is the definition of marketing according to you? First, let's get to that.
For me, if you ask, marketing is a very vast field. So if you ask what marketing is, so marketing is selling or establishing a particular product or a service from the point of production to the point of consumption in a very efficient and effective way. That is marketing.
Right. And how is it related to operations? Why do you advise that to the students?
Related to operations in such a way that operations will help you give a product or a service at the lowest cost, a
Right.
quality product at the lowest cost. If you have a good quality product at the lowest cost possible, why will it not be marketed? That will be a bestseller or a hot selling item or a service in the market.
Right.
That's
Right.
which marketing will help operations. I mean,
Right.
it's my point of view. Operations is highly beneficial to revenue, finance, and logistics in some other concept, in some
Mm-hmm.
concepts. But if you ask me, my advice on is marketing with operations is the best way out.
Right. Thank you so much for such an insightful session, Ahijit Pushkarna. It was wonderful interacting with you. And of course, we got to know so much about operations and operations in a company like Zomato, how things work, how things go
Right.
about, and how much of that has benefited you from being an intern in an organization to starting your career in Zomato. Thank you so much, Ahijit. But before you go, what is that one piece of advice you would want to give to all the MBA aspirants, to all the students, to all the people watching this webinar right now? What is that one piece of advice you would want to give to all the people there about having an established career?
Be consistent, be hardworking, and be adaptable to any change that comes in your life. If you follow these three things, there is nothing in the world that can defeat you or bring you down in any situation or circumstance.
Right. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Harmeet. It was really a pleasure having a talk with you.
It was really a pleasure having you here with us and interacting with our students and viewers.
Thank you for
It
having
was so much to learn about operations, and we hope we'll be hosting another session with you soon. Thank you so much, Ahiji.
Looking forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Ahijit Pushkarna with us. We'll meet you again with another insightful industry expert talk series, same place, same time, which is Friday at 6 p.m. Till then, stay connected and keep following us for more updates on webinars, interesting videos, and content that you can learn from us and that can help you grow in your career. Also, we do Sunstone trial classes every Wednesday at 2 p.m., same place, which is Sunstone University's YouTube channel, where you're watching us live right now. So if you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, do that right now. And as I said, every Friday, Industry Talk series at 6 p.m. Also, don't forget to follow Sunstone University's social media handles for updates on webinars, amazing videos, and content that can help you build your skills and grow in your career. Thank you for joining us again. This is me, Harmeet, signing off. Thank you.